All righty, let's head out there. Cam Inman, Bay Area News Group, also 95.7 The Game's Odyssey Insider, covers the San Francisco 49ers. Cam, how you doing, buddy? What's going on?
Playoff eve, and ready to see the stakes climb up here for a good team.
Yeah, good call. I mean, there's just nothing like the difference between regular season and playoffs. Let me and I don't know if this is going to be a question or not, but let's just get a conversation started. You know, it feels like everybody's fear is that, well, what if Brock Purdy goes out there and really struggles or has a bad game or is overmatched? And the more and more I think about that, Cam, I don't see it because Kyle Shanahan doesn't let that happen. And in fact, I didn't realize a 49er quarterback has not thrown 3 interceptions in a game. The last time that happened was 5 years ago. So, you know what I mean? Like, he's not going to throw 3 interceptions, if you know what I mean.
Right, because after 2 interceptions, he won't be allowed to throw the ball again. I mean, and this is something that I like about Brock this past month while he's had all this wonderful success is he knows it's not all on him, and he knows he's in this fantastic situation because, I mean, the Niners are loaded. Offensively, defensively, special teams are much improved from a year ago, so it's not a quarterback-reliant system, and if there's going to be rain and wind during this playoff opener, I mean, you're not going to, need Brock Purdy to throw the ball 30 times in the game anyhow. You're going to need Christian McCaffrey carrying it about 20, Elijah Mitchell about 10, and Debo about 5, and there you go. You got to win, and you're into the divisional round.
Cam, I've been telling Steiny since Monday when it was raining that, I hate to be this guy. I'm not giving Seattle a chance. I think the Niners, even if the defense gave up points, their offense is just rolling. But now I'm thinking, you know what? If I'm Seattle, I'm like, we need any advantage we can get in a crazy way. Don't you think if we get this weather, if it continues, that might make it, a mucked up track that could kind of help Seattle do the impossible?
Yeah, they had the field was not covered by a tarp during the week. I believe it is today. After they painted the field, the end zones red with the Sloan font that everybody loves to talk about. And so I was like, maybe it's going to be a muddy track, but I don't think so. They've done such a good job with the field. So let's talk about that for a second, because I was asking Robbie Gould about it last week, and of anybody that knows field conditions, it's Robbie. And he was saying that the 49ers field has become the best surface in the NFL, that it's the firmest, most consistent, that they do, a really good job with it. So they're not going to try to get it muddy to slow down the Seahawks because their wide receivers might be pretty good. It's going to be a good condition. Remember just when it opened in 2014 and 15, they had all those problems.
Yeah, Harbaugh hated it.
Yeah, you ordered everybody off the field in a public practice after 5 minutes. Everybody's like, whoa, okay, this is, but the 49ers, to their credit and their groundskeeping credit, they figured out just what kind of base they needed under the grass. And so I think after that Super Bowl, after the 2015 season, it settled in good. So there haven't been many problems. Obviously, if it's wet, it's going to be a little bit slippery. And I think you worry more about the football. And the 49ers have gone on this 10-game win streak because they're not turning the ball over and other teams are. I thought I saw a stat that they had like a plus 16 turnover ratio in this 10-game win streak, which basically explains why they've won so well and won so dominantly and scored so many points. So the Seahawks, they turn the ball over. Geno Smith has been throwing some interceptions, and they're going to have a rookie running back carrying the rock. So, there's a good chance that those guys turn it over too.
Cam Inman joining us on 95.7 The Game. He'll be at Santa Clara tomorrow when the 49ers take on the Seahawks. What about wind? We had a weather person on earlier in the show, and they said, at times between, 12 and 5, the winds might hit 25, 30 miles an hour. How does that affect each team?
Well, I'd imagine it affects more just in terms of throwing the ball and especially kicking. And that just gets back to what Robbie was saying was Levi Stadium is one of the toughest places to kick in the NFL because it has 2 open ends, right, where the wind can come in, flanking the Sweet Tower there. So everybody, remember Candlestick always had the swirling wind in Candlestick Park? Well, it really is swirling down at Levi's. And so if it's really breezy, then that's going to be an issue, especially for the kickers. I'd imagine for the punt returners. I mean, Ray McLeod, speaking of, he's had a really good year. I mean, he started off the year and you're like, I don't know if this guy is going to be, as sure-handed as they need him to be because he came in with a fumble history. But he hasn't lost a fumble this season. And these last few weeks, he has this confidence as a punt returner that's really encouraging, I guess, going into the playoffs when the pressure's coming in. So, I mean, yeah, wind isn't great, but it could be worse. And one thing I'd be curious is if there's going to be thunder and lightning, like there's thunder showers. We don't get much lightning around here, right? But I remember up in Seattle, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, there was lightning. It was a night game, and there was like an hour delay. So the weather will be an issue, but the Niners have been practicing in it a lot this season, more than any season I can remember in the last 20-something years. And obviously they played a few rain games, and that Chicago game at the start of the year was obviously didn't go so well.
Cam, I came in a couple weeks ago and I told Steiny, you know what? I just feel like the Niners secondary is getting a kind whistle in regard to, Brady to Evans, it got called back. And I believe Dalton got a long play on Hufanga. And, the Raider game, which I still haven't kind of processed. So my question is, let's say they handle business tomorrow. Moving forward to accomplish their goal, how concerned are you on the back end of the back end of the secondary with Lenoir and Hufanga, who sometimes gets caught looking?
You mean All-Pro Talanoa Hufanga? One
Yeah.
of the 49ers, 4 first-team All-Proers. Yesterday in the locker room, we were talking to Charvarius Ward, Diamador Lenoir, and when I was asking Mooney Ward about Lenoir, just going, this is going to be his first playoff action. And yes, he's struggled at times this year, but he hasn't been bad. Like, get him off the field bad. He's had some growing pains, and obviously quarterbacks are going to target him, and Ward said that he's going to be expecting it, and when that opportunity comes, he has to make a play. So, and when you're talking about, some officiating helping out opponents, remember Diamador Lenoir had a pick six against these Seattle Seahawks, and it got called back because of a ticky-tack roughing the passer penalty on Bosa. So it kind of goes both ways with that. But, yeah, I mean, it's hard to say it's the weak link, but, I mean, I guess it is because the rest of the defense is so solid. But when you have Nick Bosa and a good defensive front that has Kinlaw and Armstead alongside Bosa now, that's going to help those guys in the back end.
Cam Inman joining us on 95.7 The Game. Dre Greenlaw likely back. Aaron Banks likely back. I know this sounds crazy when you're playing a third-string quarterback, but the 49ers are very, very healthy going into the postseason.
Really, really healthy. And the three guys that I'd actually look at also is McCaffrey, Debo, and Elijah Mitchell. You have those three guys healthy together, and the NFL hasn't seen how the Niners want to use that multifaceted look too much, but it's an incredible option for Kyle Shanahan to move guys in and out of that backfield, and just kind of that'll help Purdy recognize which defenders are coming from where, right? So everything's set up to help the quarterback have a simpler approach with all those guys healthy, and then obviously he's got this cool connection with Kittle. And Kittle's healthy, right? He's gone through a couple of years where he's been battered with some injuries, and then he had to block and help out whichever offensive tackle was struggling. He's been flourishing here, and with I think 3 of the last 4 games he has 2 touchdown catches, and so Purdy obviously likes him as a security blanket, as he should.
Now, Cam, I follow you on Twitter. I know you had a hell of a year when it came to betting these games. Let me ask you this, though. Any team not named the Niners in the NFC that scares you the most, and who do you got coming out of the AFC?
I guess the Eagles scare me a little bit more so because of their defense and just what they might be up to because they'd be hosting the Niners. That's the only thing, I think, the obstacle, because Dallas, not necessarily. I don't even know if Dallas is going to win Monday night.
Yeah, you're right.
Because it's Brady, and Brady's undefeated. I mean, he grew up hating the Cowboys, right? So he's going to be fired up to not end his career on that, if he ends his career ever. And so there's those teams. Minnesota, I'm not too afraid of. They could be coming next weekend. And then AFC-wise, I think you look at the Chiefs, you look at the Bengals, you look at the Bills. All 3 of them have great quarterbacks, and that's a problem for another month, right? We're a month out from that. So They just got to get through these first couple of games, get to the NFC Championship, and hold a gosh darn fourth quarter lead for once.
Cam Inman, there you have it. Enjoy the game tomorrow.